huge buy now, pay later lender Klarna announcing its stablecoin will be on Stripe's Tempo blockchain. This is the news that its USD-backed stablecoin will be issued on Stripe and Paradigm's payment-oriented blockchain called Tempo. The token is intended to lower international transaction costs, and this is talking about stablecoins, with global payments generating an estimated $120 billion in annual fees. The CEO had this to say, who apparently was a vocal crypto skeptic beforehand. He said Klarna's global scale and growing crypto maturity justified the firm's entry into stablecoins now. He said crypto is finally at a stage where it's fast, low cost, secure, and built for scale, noting that Klarna serves 114 million customers and processes $112 billion in gross merchandise volume annually. So Klarna USD is live today on Tempo's testnet and is scheduled to launch on the network's mainnet in 2026, the company said. The protocol, and just for a bit of background context, Tempo is, of course, the blockchain by Stripe, backed by Paradigm. The protocol raised $500 million at a $5 billion valuation during its Series A round back in October. Tempo also recently made its first ecosystem investment through a $25 million round in developer group Commonwear. So I'm like super interested in this. I think this is a really important for two reasons. One, there was another tweet shared by Yano, who's founder of Blockwork, saying, "You're out of your mind if you think Tempo won't have a token. High likelihood it's a top 20 token by the end of 2026. It will be seen as crypto's way to get access to Stripe equity and a clean token bet on stablecoins." So I think this is just like on the list of how can we get exposure if we can get exposure. My initial instinct is that we would not be able to get exposure to a Stripe token. Would they consider an ICO? I don't know. They don't need to. They make so much. They do make so much money, and they can make so much money by themselves. Do they need to do an ICO for everyone else? I don't know. But I want to just keep an eye on it because this is definitely something I would want to get personal exposure to. So that's the first thought. And then the second thought, which is more difficult to digest as people who are crypto native and had any type of longer term affiliation with crypto native values. This is just an example of all of the stuff that's getting built or that has been built, all of the work that has been done, basically getting taken, repackaged, put into corporate, repackaged by corporate interests and capturing all of the value for itself rather than letting that flow back to Ethereum, for example. So the reality very well might be, and it's one that I think we should all be preparing for, that the bull case for Ethereum, which is that it's going to be the global computer that's going to house all of these transactions. It's maybe in part a stablecoin chain, and all of these kind of arguments, it might fade away as you realize Stripe handles all of these USD payments already in the world. They just turn them into stablecoins with all of their partners, and then they capture the majority of that value moving forward. That's something I think we need to prepare for and keep an eye on. So those are my initial thoughts. Brett, I know you've done a lot of thinking on this, so coming to you first, then go to Legendary for his thoughts.
Yeah, bearish as fuck is what I'll say. So I think what he's saying is true, and that people will buy this thinking it's like pseudo exposure to Stripe. I think people still don't understand the unit economics that will require Stripe, the blockchain token, to be valuable in order to make this work. And using Klarna as a perfect example, when they talk about having $100 gajillion million worth of transaction volumes, like you literally need every single one of those transactions to take place on the blockchain, which this blockchain is not feasible, like not fast enough to handle in an economic way, in order for the blockchain itself to generate enough revenue to justify the valuations that it's actually going to have. Right. So like that's full stop. That's what it is. Like if you sit here and you say, oh my God, it's got Klarna sitting on top of it. It has the exact same problem that Ethereum has, where Ethereum is sitting there underneath. You have the token. The token only has claim to the actual revenues that are generated for the transactions that take place on the actual chain. And it does not matter if there is a company that is built on top of Ethereum that is worth $1 million. It does not fucking matter, because it does not translate directly to the underlying token. It is captured along the stack down to what the token actually is. And it'll be the exact same thing here, unless Tempo implements something that is enshrined inside of the chain to capture some of this actual economic activity that actually goes on top of it. It will not generate the revenue that is required to justify the valuation as we converge on traditional valuation models. Full stop. It just won't happen. So you'll see a lot of speculation. It'll probably run for a couple of years based on that, and I would bid it for that reason. But I think long term, it's going to trend down to zero as people wake up to the idea that, or the realization, I should say, that applications and actual revenues and actual DCF models are how you're going to value these things going forward, especially combining with TradFi markets and how they do valuation.